Salutations viewers, my name is Game Dame and welcome back to another one of Legends of Runeterra patch note videos. Today we're going to be going over patch 1.1 notes, and this is a pretty short patch because what it goes over is the patch timing, expeditions, archetypes, and bug fixes. So as per usual, I'm going to read the beginning of this paragraph for you guys, and then I'm just going to, read it over and then just pretty much say what's happening in each of these sections. But we're definitely going to go over the entire list for the bug fixes because there's a lot of stuff in there that I feel like need to be said, or just in general, just said out loud, just in case you don't want to read them. So on 5/11/20 at 1 p.m., the description says, "Hope you've been enjoying Rising Tides in Bilgewater. Patch 1.1 is a small one focused on tidying up bugs and issues we've seen since launch," which is definitely a big yes from me. "We've also got info on upcoming adjustments to how we roll out new patches," which is great because I sometimes don't even know when patches are coming out, so that's what I really like to know. "To allow for the meta to shake out a little further, and for us to factor live play data into our work, we'll be deploying the first post Rising Tides balance changes in patch 1.2. Yes, Queen! Yes! Their normal monthly balance cadence will then proceed from there, so the next changes will be in patch 1.4. And they've heard our feedback regarding various cases of rules, text, inconsistencies, or clarity issues on Rising Tides cards, and we'll be including a bunch of improvements in patch 1.1. Again, like I say every video, I think that's Legends of Runeterra's biggest issue is every time that they have something they want to talk about or, put in the cards, the descriptions that they have for the cards, their clarity is always the worst that I've come to see. And sometimes I'm just like, what does this mean? Or like, oh, am I doing this correctly? And it's mainly because they don't know how to word things correctly. So thank God that they're fixing up on some of this stuff for clarification. So moving on to patch timing. In patch 1.1, they'll be patching to PC as normal at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, which has already happened on Tuesday, and send a new version to the app stores depending on our location. It could take several hours for the new version to show up in our store or phone. Starting with patch 1.2 in 2 weeks, we're adjusting how we patch Legends of Runeterra to make sure players get to play on new versions as simultaneously as possible, regardless of platform or location. The short version is, we'll continue to patch on Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, but you won't actually see the changes until 24 hours later. What I think that's actually pretty cool is that they're consistently, I believe it's either every week or every other week that and we're probably going to look into this now. Oh, it says right here, we'll update LOR every other week. So every other week, they're going to be patching on Tuesday, but keep in mind, you won't see those changes until 24 hours later. So right here, they give the description as to what Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are going to look like for every other week for when they're going to patch it. So I will, of course, leave the link in the description to this patch notes specifically, so that way you can read up on the description yourself. But at least we have something to look forward to for every other week, so that way we get updated bugs and fixes and like everything else. Moving on to expeditions archetypes, I'm definitely just going to read the paragraphs here. Of expeditions archetypes, because like there's no way that sometimes that I could say something that would match exactly what they're saying that would make sense, so it's just best sometimes just to read off of it. So they're still gathering post Rising Tides data for expeditions, so the changes below are aimed at cleaning up a few lingering issues from before this set's launch. They've also seen discussion around Deep and Nautilus due to the smaller deck sizes in expeditions, so their data hasn't shown any of these strategies to be overpowered in practice, but we'll keep an eye on them to make changes if necessary. The deep portions that Nautilus has for this is so incredibly OP. I mean, they'll definitely see more of it, but like deep in general is such an insane deck, and it makes me so angry that I don't have everything I need to make a deep deck. So for the expeditions, it looks like Rising Tides will be offering bonuses, where Rising Tides archetypes are twice as likely to show up in the champion picks. We'll be saying for this patch, and then will be removed completely in patch 1.2. So because patch 1.2 is already out already, you're not going to see as many Rising Tides as you would like. So, they talk about Noxus decks. So Noxian Might at its core is supposed to be about 5+ power units and the Nexus damage overwhelming the opponent in the mid-game. Given that, we're weakening its early game, so you'll be able to dip into other archetypes if you want to start threatening your opponent on turn 1. I definitely have to agree with that. I mean, that's pretty nice that they're doing that. I mean, Noxus decks mainly, it's overwhelm and overpower your opponent mid to late game. And they don't have as much like early game unless you get those can't block cards. And obviously you can overpower them or kill them early, but you know, it definitely takes time. And there's a lot of smaller cards that can kill those non-block cards very easily. So they removed Legion Rearguard. And then Scraphead is getting a minor tweak to enable Insightful Investigator a bit more. So they added Academy Prodigy, and they removed Rising Spellforce. So Total Recall hasn't been all that successful lately, so removing some of the slower, more inconsistent cards in favor of some solid removal options. So they added Thermogenic Beam and Static Shock, and they removed Unlicensed Innovation, Shady Character, and Shadow Shift. Now, the bug fixes, I think, is what is the most important in this video, because there are a lot of new fixes that they have applied. So I'm just going to read right down the list here. So for hot fixes applied since last patch, they fixed an issue where Vi would temporarily gain +8 power while leveling up. And then Sejuani level 2 now properly frostbites enemies when a round start trigger deals damage to the enemy nexus. So Sejuani level 2 can now properly frostbite attacking enemies. Lee Sin now properly gains barrier if he levels up from the first spell cast in a round. And then they fixed an issue where Twisted Fate couldn't be played on a full board and replace a unit. Interesting. I didn't play a lot against Twisted Fate deck, so I didn't even know that was an issue. But now that it's fixed, it sounds pretty good. So new fixes. They fixed an issue where LOR would immediately crash when attempting to start on Windows PC set to use certain regional calendar formats. Oh, interesting. I never had that issue. I can't even imagine if someone had that issue. That would be very frustrating. Glad they fixed that. They fixed an issue where clicking the Expeditions loadout button after leaving Expeditions queue would crash the game. Wow, lots of crashes. They fixed an issue where cards were sometimes incorrectly identified as your deck or shopkeeper during trade picks after reaching 6 wins in Expeditions trials. Really? Huh. I'm just happy I never got any of these. Misfortune's damage trigger will no longer result in drawn match when it was both bring the enemy nexus to 0 health and trigger an effect that would kill her owner. As with similar effects, the match will now immediately ends when the enemy nexus goes to 0. I mean, I would hope so. They fixed an issue where dragging units over Oracle's Eye while blocking could lock up the game. Really? Oh, crap. Really? Oh my god, that's so many things. This is so many things I've never experienced. That's why I'm just like, I'm so glad I haven't gotten any of these bugs. The biggest bug I've ever had was mainly like sometimes like in the beginning when LOR was there, it would not show the champions that were in the deck. So that's why I was like, oh, why can't I see anything? Copies of units that have been buffed will now probably display those buffs in their tooltips. Thank you. Fizz and Lee Sin now count level up progress from spells that revive them. What? No. Oh my god. That's gonna be something to look out for. Pilfered Goods will now more likely draw its second card. All right. More quickly, not likely, more quickly draw its second card. VFX and clarity improvements across various card triggers. Tall Tales, Gotcha, Fury of the North, and Vi. They fixed a variety of visual bugs with endgame XP. Actual earned XP was correct in all cases. We fixed. They're also investigating reports of other issues such as players not receiving correct XPs from quests. I wouldn't even know like what the correct XP for me I would get is. Maybe I should take a look more into that to make sure I'm getting the correct amount of XP. Fixed various issues with highlight prompts on client buttons not properly resetting. Fixed various capitalization and line break issues across multiple languages. That's good. Fix an issue where matchmaking audio will continue after canceling matchmaking. Fix issues where deck loadouts weren't properly updating. On Android, fix an issue where the game audio could keep playing after closing the app. On iOS, fix an issue with blinking turn lighting on Slaughter Doc's board. Once again, remove Zephyr Sage from the Disruption archetype. It snuck back in with Rising Tides. Oh, there it is. Unified XP boost terminology in all locations, replacing the terms like rested XP in some spots. Okay, so these are really important fixes because, I mean, again, for the 500th time, I haven't experienced these, but the fact that so many other people to the point have experienced these and that they were included in these hot fixes and new fixes, that I'm very grateful that I didn't experience any of these. But It does come to show that, like, no matter how good a game came out on launch, there's always going to be fixes. There's always going to be new stuff added. There's always going to be changes. So I'm glad that we're able to review the patch notes today. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and or follow to my Twitch and or my YouTube. Here you know where my YouTube is. My Twitch is at twitch.tv/thegamedame. Have a lovely rest of the day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.